How to be a good husband in Islam. That's a very, very important topic. Let's have a look at this one.
Speaking of the best husband, I want to tell you a story. A really good one on this subject, making people conscious of Allah. You don't just invite people to have taqwa of Allah with your words. Your character says a lot. A friend of mine, he became a friend actually on a short trip, told me about how he was raised in a Muslim family. He's Guyanese origin, and in Guyana there's Muslims that are committed and there's Muslims that have mixed their religion with Hinduism, and some Muslims that are just Muslim by name and they've completely almost lost everything of the religion. They almost know nothing of the religion. And he was of the latter type. He almost knew nothing about the religion. So as he was growing up in New York, he almost completely just wasn't even practically Muslim. He used to, get into fights with his mother. He went to jail a couple of times. He was in gangs, all kinds of stuff. Later on in life, he decides he wants to, he's looking for God.
You know what? I know many really, really good brothers in Islam with a lot of knowledge, and they had like such past. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, sometimes individuals that get lost, from the right path, right? And they're like living a bad lifestyle. When they find Islam and they see the truth, it becomes such a strong faith, and they feel so much shame and regret for their past that they never even want to get close again to their past. And they're very, very strong and good on the deen. And also because they were in the past on the wrong path, right? So they appreciate the right path now because they see a lot of goodness in it, right? Like, sometimes you only appreciate something if you didn't have it, right? But there are like some people that are born with everything. And then when they have everything, they sometimes don't see the value in it. And I'm not trying to create some stereotype that people that have something from birth are all like this. No. But there are some individuals, when they grow up and they have everything. For example, let me give you another example, not related to religion, but someone that's rich from birth, right? Because they have rich parents. They don't know the value behind the money, like the hard work and everything you did to actually get to this point, right? Because their parents worked really, really hard to get rich, so they see the money differently than the child that is born into a rich family, if that makes any sense, right? So that's what I'm saying. So people that have the deen from birth, some of them, not all, they don't see the high value in it, while people that were like lost, they see like a high value when they return to the truth.
And he knows at least by name he's Muslim. I think his name was Muhammad or something, right? By name he's Muslim, so you should look into what religion first? Islam. So he starts looking into Islam, starts going to the masjid, starts learning how to pray again, becomes more serious. At the time he was, he had married his girlfriend who was Christian or whatever. Right? He starts becoming more serious about the religion. And then his wife notices that he's praying. And the beer is gone from the fridge.
Wow.
And he's not going out with his drinking
Mashallah.
buddies. And he doesn't go to Atlantic City on the weekends. He's a different guy. Something's changed,
But this is exactly what you need to do if you want to be a practicing Muslim, especially in the West. Let me guys give you an advice, and it maybe sounds very harsh and some will think, oh, you're so strict. But if you're practicing the deen of Islam, you have to cut ties with everything that's negative, right? So if you have certain things in the fridge, like this guy here that you shouldn't have, like the bottles there, you throw them away. If you have friends that have bad habits, like they're partying all the time, they're constantly like, if you're a guy, for example, hanging out with girls, or you're like a sister that's like now wearing the hijab practicing, you shouldn't hang out with your female friends that constantly bring guys along, right, for example. So then you have to quit those kind of friendships, and especially if you're at the beginning of the deen, because if you're at the beginning of the deen and you just started practicing, your resistance, your antibodies, I'm just calling them now, against kufr and all that and temptations, they are not that strong, your antibodies yet. They need to build up over time, right? So if you want to protect yourself from falling off the deen of Islam and you are just new to the practicing, you have to distance yourself from bad people. If you're someone that has been on the deen for some time and you have gained knowledge, that's the point where you can say, I'm doing now dawah, I'm going to the people with addictions, with haram relationships, with this and this. You can only do this if you have a foundation of your deen, if you have learned a lot, if you have been practicing for not just a couple of weeks or few months, but maybe some years even, right? Because then you are safe, right? And nobody can mislead you so easily. I'm not saying you are like completely bulletproof against everything. No, but you have like more resistance, okay? That's what I'm saying. So yeah, be careful. If you get onto the practicing, distance yourself from anything that can be a negative influence or take you out of the religion. Be careful with that.
And he doesn't say anything to her. Just on his own, he didn't yell at her, didn't tell her to, put a hijab on or whatever, lose all her friends. He didn't do any of that. He went to a scholar, and I make dua for the scholar that he went to. He didn't tell me his name, but he said, I went to my scholar, and I told him, look, I'm becoming more and more aware of Islam, but my wife, of course, is a Christian, and she's not even a practicing Christian. She's just kind of what I was before. She's exactly like I was before. How do I help her? He said, don't tell her a thing about Islam, just be the best husband you can be, and to do that, just study what kind of a husband the Prophet was. Just do that. Don't worry about what you need to tell her. Worry about being the best possible husband, and that is the sunnah of the Messenger. The Messenger would buy his wife gifts. The Messenger would joke with his wife. The Messenger would spend time with the mother of the believers. The Messenger would praise and compliment the mother of the believers. He would compliment them. You guys eat the first morsel of food in iftar, like, And the wife says, what? You go, nothing.
Wow, that's not good.
Right? You drink, some of the desis here drink the first little sip of lassi. Look, I know the economy's bad, but are we really that short on sugar? Or,
wow, always complaining, that's not good.
Very painful for you to say a compliment, I understand.
This actually kills the motivation for people to do something for you. Like, it's not just, it's in a marriage like that, of course, right? If you say to your spouse, your cooking doesn't taste good, then the next time the wife will have less fun cooking for you. But even if you tell a lie and you say the salt today is perfect, it just tastes so delicious, even though maybe it's half burnt the food. If you lie about it, and that's a halal way of lying, you actually, in Islam, I'm not saying it's correct in Islam to lie to people, but you are allowed in this scenario to lie to your wife to bring peace and to make the marriage better, right? You can, for example, see your wife in some dress that doesn't look good, and you say you look beautiful in that dress. Yes, you are lying to her because you're saying she looks beautiful, even though maybe she doesn't at this moment, but you still make her like feel good about herself, right? Or if she cooks something and it doesn't taste today as good, there's maybe less salt in it, right? If you still say it tasted very delicious, what will the wife do? She will be motivated to cook again and again, and she will even improve. If you have a wife that cooks bad, the best way to improve her cooking is actually by saying what she cooks tastes delicious, even if it doesn't. Why? Because this compliment makes her cook more often, and the more often you do a certain activity, the better you get at it, right? Because you practice by doing, right? Maybe she gets curious about new recipes, looks on the internet, and then finally she cooks something that tastes good. And you only got to this point because you always told her everything she makes is good, and that kept her motivated and in high spirits to actually cook something for you, right? So yeah, don't do this. Don't be like this guy. Be always kind to your spouse. And you actually improve them in time by motivating them.
Very painful for you to say a compliment, I understand. But it's a sunnah, guys. Good food. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And our wives, the sisters are so used to hearing nasty things from us, that when we say nice things, they get freaked out.
Yeah.
Like if the husband just says, you look really nice today. She goes, what do you want?
Yeah.
Like,
you're so
she
different
gets worried,
today.
like he's up to, we gotta fix that. That's a problem. It can't be healthy.
Sad.
So he starts doing these things with his wife. And in the beginning, he used to argue with her sometimes about Islam and tell her how Christianity doesn't make sense. How can 3 be 1 and 1 be 3? All those kinds of arguments, you've heard them before, right?
Yes, I
and
know.
None of those would work with his wife. None of them. He's like, no, I'm a Christian and that's it. Jesus is in my heart. Leave me alone. 3 years go by, he stops talking to her about Christianity and how dumb it is or whatever, stops debating with her.
I couldn't do this.
He's just being what he can be as the best husband. And one day he's making maghrib and his wife joins him in salat.
Whoa.
And he's in salat. It messes up his salat. Like,
MashaAllah.
Right?
Whoa.
So he gives, after salat, he looks at her and he goes, what happened? And she goes, what? Nothing. And he goes, no, you have to tell me what happened. And of course she says what pretty much any wife would say, it's complicated. Alright?
Oh, yeah.
But eventually she tells him,
She
and
reverted.
she tells him, look, I've never seen a husband like you. My dad wasn't like that. I've never seen a father like you. The way you are with our child, I've never seen a father be like that. It's so beautiful. This religion can't be wrong. It can't be wrong. This is ittaqullah. You see how aware you are of Allah in your life, right? It's not how many ayat you've memorized, how many ahadith you know, how much knowledge you can spit out at someone, how many quotes from scholars you can deliver. It's not about that. How are you living your life? People can see that. You're calling people to the taqwa of Allah. Haqqa tuqatihi.
Download our mobile applications.
Wow. But yeah, what do we learn from this, mashallah? That you have to have good akhlaq as a Muslim in order to make everyone around you feel good, and this includes your wife. You're going to be the best husband to your wife if you compliment her often, just like shown here in this video, that if she does a mistake, you make it seem like she didn't make a mistake, right? Like I said, like maybe in the food there's not enough salt, or it's half burnt or something. You're actually pretending that she didn't do a mistake. And that makes her feel good about herself or about her appearance. Maybe today what she's wearing doesn't match or something, right? And you're gonna tell her, oh, you look actually great, right? Or if she has a belly because she's, let's say, pregnant, you say, oh, you look even more beautiful than ever or something. Even though her belly got big because she's like pregnant or something, right? So if you do this, you actually show like out of kindness, like also your wife will first of all treat you better and do more for you. She will be more likely to actually wash your clothes and cook for you, right? And then you as a husband, you will be automatically more happy because you always have food on the table. And perhaps if you say your wife is very beautiful, like some women, or I'm for example like that, if people compliment me, oh, you look more athletic than ever, it actually pushes me to do even more sports. So I actually improve further on my looks or something. And this is for some wives too, right? If you say she looks beautiful, like it can reach a point where she's motivated to even look more beautiful, and she gets even more the courage to eat healthy and do sports and stuff. Or yeah, you for example say, hey, you look more fit today and more beautiful than ever. Then you're actually even saying that she has done some sort of improvement that you like, but she maybe didn't do the improvement, but she thought, maybe she thinks to herself, oh, recently I've been actually walking around a lot in the maybe park, or I've been riding the bicycle more than usual, so that's why he compliments me. That means if I do sports, that improves my looks, and my husband loves it. That's why he complimented me, right? And then she's even more eager to lose weight, for example, because I heard stories of like some husbands that are complaining the wife doesn't have the perfect shape. Astaghfirullah, that's not good. But if you give compliments, like your wife can improve just from compliments, and you don't need to criticize, right? And this story, though, I have to be very realistic with you guys, and I have to give you also examples of the time of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also from other prophets, peace be upon them, that this doesn't always work here, this story. You have the story of a non-practicing Muslim that ends up marrying a Christian woman, and then he reverts back to Islam. He becomes practicing, and he does a 3 years dawah with that woman. You know what actually happens in like most cases in those kind of marriages, and I don't mean to scare anyone that is in such a relationship. You become more practicing, and your partner sometimes actually starts a conflict because of different faiths, right? Like maybe your partner drinks alcohol, a'udhu billah, and you don't drink suddenly, so you suddenly have less things in common, right? And there's a conflict. Or you become suddenly you get gaira, and you get protective jealousy, and your wife has male friends. Then how will you stop her from meeting the male friends and keep your jealousy in check? Because if your iman gets stronger, also your jealousy, your gaira gets stronger, because it's part of the iman, right? So how can you like be with someone that has like a liberal lifestyle and is open-minded, while you have morals and a moral behavior, right? And rules. So there can be a conflict, and what happens in a lot of those marriages is sometimes the women gets pregnant during this phase, and then they split and they separate, and then suddenly it's like a single parent household, and either the ex-wife has the kid or you have the kid, but the kids are going to suffer because you separate, if you have kids or you get or someone gets pregnant during this time, right? So that doesn't always work. Here it's a good ending, a good outcome, and I would definitely say this kind of dawah is the most effective one, by having good akhlaq and showing how beautiful Islam is, showing the best side of Islam. This also brings parents of reverts to Islam sometimes, because their children cut all the bad habits, they're kind to their parents more than ever, they never curse at their mother and father, and then they realize, oh, this comes from Islam. So sometimes parents revert like that too over the years, right? Like, I know stories about reverts that were not to the wives like that, but to their parents like that. And they would do sometimes like house chores and stuff, right? And clean the kitchen, this and that after Islam. So their parents reverted to Islam. Alhamdulillah. May Allah reward them. Ameen. And this doesn't work always. So be careful. If you're in such a relationship, sometimes you have to also quit this, right? Because there's no guarantee it will work, and if 3 years pass, also your chances can decrease of finding a good spouse at the end of the day. But if you see any signs of some sort of, how do I say this? Some sort of like acceptance, yeah, like acceptance is the right word for, like some sort of acceptance for Islam. And if suddenly you tell your wife, sorry, we can no longer have pork in the house, we must have halal meat, and sorry, no more drinking. If your wife is obeying as a non-Muslim to your rules in this case, right? And you don't have like this sort of conflict situation, it can work. But if you have like a wife that does everything that's against Islam, and you have to do dawah with her for 3 years, and you maybe have some intimacy that can result to a child, this is very dangerous, because if you get a child in such unstable marriage, what is if you guys split up? Or what if you don't have children for years and the wife gets upset and leaves you? Like, this is very risky, like, to be in such situation. It can turn out well, like in this story, but it can also be vice versa. You have to be careful with this. But yeah, what are the signs of a good husband? Treat your wife kind, respect her, and praise her often. And vice versa, of course. Like, if you're a sister, you have a husband, praise him often, make compliments. Even if your spouse does something wrong, compliment them. Very important. This brings peace to your home. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section, or if you have any stories like that, please let me know. And yeah, if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. If you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. And I will see you guys next time, inshallah.